Isabella had never been meant for marriage, not like this, at least. It was her older sister who was promised to a rancher in the western valleys, a widower known for his solitude and hardened ways. But on the morning of departure, fate intervened. Her sister fell ill, and their desperate parents, unwilling to break the agreement, sent Isabella in her place. At just 19, Isabella found herself on a wagon bound for an unknown man's home, her heart pounding with fear and resentment. The journey was long and dusty, the sun beating down as thoughts plagued her mind. Would he be cruel for receiving the wrong bride? Would he send her back in shame? As the ranch came into view, her anxiety grew heavier. It was vast, rolling pastures, cattle grazing, and a strong wooden house at its center. Standing outside was the rancher himself, Samuel, tall and broad-shouldered, his expression unreadable. Beside him clung a small girl with bright eyes, his daughter, barely 7 years old. Samuel's gaze flickered with surprise when he saw Isabella step down instead of the sister he had been expecting. He said nothing, but the air was thick with tension. Isabella bowed her head, bracing herself for rejection. Yet, it was the little girl who first broke the silence. Tugging at her father's sleeve, she whispered with childlike innocence, "Papa, God must have sent her." In that moment, Isabella's heart trembled, not from fear, but from a strange glimmer of hope. Life on the ranch was unlike anything Isabella had known. Her fine dresses were traded for aprons and boots, her delicate hands soon calloused from endless chores. Samuel spoke little to her, always keeping a distance, his eyes filled with quiet judgment. He hadn't asked for her, after all. She was a substitution, a stand-in for what should have been. But his daughter, Lily, clung to Isabella as though she had been waiting her whole life for her. The girl followed her around, eager to help with cooking, feeding chickens, or braiding her hair with wildflowers. At night, Isabella tucked her in, listening to Lily's soft prayers. More than once, Isabella's eyes grew misty when she heard the child whisper, "Thank you, God, for sending her." The townsfolk, however, were less kind. Gossip spread like wildfire, mocking the replacement bride who'd come in her sister's place. Isabella endured the stares and whispers during Sunday service, her chin held high. Yet inside, she questioned her worth. One evening, while preparing supper, she overheard Samuel speaking quietly to a ranch hand. "She wasn't meant to be here," he muttered, his voice heavy with disappointment. The words stung deeper than she cared to admit. Still, she refused to break. If nothing else, she would give Lily the motherly care she longed for. But in Samuel's silence, Isabella began to notice something else, small, unspoken acts of kindness. Fresh water brought in from the well before she rose. A saddle mended on her horse. A fence post repaired without her asking. He may not have wanted her, but he couldn't entirely ignore her presence either. Weeks passed, and Isabella's presence became woven into the fabric of ranch life. Yet the tension with Samuel grew heavier. He remained distant, always polite, but never warm. One night, after a long day of storms and ranch repairs, Isabella confronted him. "You see me as a mistake," she said, her voice trembling but firm. "But I am here. I work, I care for your daughter, and I am not leaving. If my presence is such a burden, then say it plainly." Samuel froze, his eyes dark with a storm of emotions. For a long moment, he said nothing, then finally murmured, "I buried my wife less than 2 years ago. I did not ask for you because I wasn't ready for anyone. I still fear losing what little I have left." The confession softened Isabella's anger. For the first time, she saw not judgment in his silence, but grief. She stepped closer, her hand brushing his arm gently. "Then let me help you carry it. For Lily's sake, if not for your own." That night marked a shift. Samuel still kept his distance, but something in his gaze changed. Less hardness, more hesitation, perhaps even curiosity. And Lily, with a child's wisdom, only smiled wider when she saw them together. "See, Papa," she said the next morning, "God really did send her." As summer ripened, the ranch was tested by hardship. A drought threatened the fields, and a stray pack of wolves began attacking the cattle. Samuel worked day and night to protect what he could, but exhaustion weighed him down. Isabella surprised him by stepping in where others faltered. She rode out at dawn to herd strays back, carried water barrels, and even stood guard at night with a lantern in hand. Samuel watched her silently, his heart battling between old wounds and new admiration. One evening, when wolves drew near the barn, Isabella didn't run, she grabbed a rifle and fired into the air, scattering them away. Samuel rushed to her side, his voice sharp with both fear and respect. "You could have been hurt." Her reply was steady, "This is my home too. I'll protect it." Something cracked open in him that night. For the first time, he saw her not as a substitute but as a partner, someone who carried the same weight he bore. The distance between them slowly narrowed. They began sharing small conversations over meals, laughter sparked from Lily's silly jokes, and even moments of quiet comfort by the fire. The town, once cruel in gossip, began to notice the change. Whispers of replacement bride faded, replaced by curiosity at the unlikely bond forming between the widowed rancher and the young woman who had been sent instead. Autumn arrived, painting the valley in gold and crimson. By now, Isabella had become inseparable from Lily, who clung to her like a shadow. The girls' prayers each night grew bolder, no longer thanking God for sending Isabella, but asking him to let her stay forever. One evening, as the family sat by the fire, Samuel finally spoke the words that had been long buried. "When you first came, I thought fate had played a cruel trick on me. But now, I see it differently. Maybe God did send you, not just for Lily, but for me too." Isabella's eyes filled with tears, not of sorrow but of relief. For the first time since leaving her family, she felt truly chosen. Samuel reached across the table, his hand covering hers. "Stay, Isabella. Not because you must, but because you are wanted." The ranch, once weighed down by grief, now brimmed with new life. Townsfolk who had once mocked now looked on in quiet admiration at the family that had formed against all odds. Isabella, once sent in place of her sister, had become more than a wife and stepmother, she was the heart of the home. And in the innocent faith of a little girl, her words proved true, God sent you after all.